187 at 5810 Murata Avenue. Homicide wants you over there. The coroner thinks the broad was whacked using the Army morphine. Don't say anything, Roy. Just get over there.
Bukowski, you made homicide.
That I did. Good to see you, Phelps.
You two want a hug? Or can we get on with it?
Relax, Rusty.
26 years old, fashion model. Found in the tub by the cleaning lady, Mrs. Reynoldson. She called it in.
We heard Carruthers thinks...
Carruthers likes to make work for people. Overdose of sleeping pills, falls asleep in the tub, rest in peace, case closed.
Here, here. Mal is 100% that it's murder.
Do you mind if I take a look around?
Sure. Go right ahead.
Looks like barbiturates. Barbiturates. What else is rattling around in this thing? We should speak to her doctor. Prescribing both drugs would make her life a roller coaster.
Phelps?
Mal, we've had a look around. Rusty thinks it's a waste of time. What's your theory?
Come on, Mal. Tell us why we were dragged down here.
If the victim was alive when she entered the tub, water would have entered her lungs. The water is violently churned in the windpipe as she drowns. The result is that a lot of foam is generated. This foam is found at the mouth and nostrils in almost all cases of real drowning. Notice anything about our Vic?
May I take a look?
Be my guest. Take a closer look at her head and neck.
Her neck is bruised pretty badly. Bruising on the forearms, and these look like bite marks.
Very good.
Very unusual ring.
I could be wrong, but it looks like a black sapphire. The eyes are a classic sign of morphine, and the bruises tell their own story. I think one man held her down and another held her arm and injected her. They put her in the bath to try to cover it as a drowning.
And spread a trail of barbiturates.
Take a look around outside on your way out and see if you can find the syrettes. It would make my theory.
And morphine would have been very quick, and there wouldn't have been much of a struggle.
Okay, so find two guys who recently bought syrettes and weren't junkies, and you might be onto something.
And down some pills, and then she just...
I'm Detective Phelps. I'm here to try and help Julia. Do you mind answering some questions?
Virginia Reynoldson, I'm just so shocked. I feel like there's something I should be doing, someone I should call.
We can make those calls, ma'am. Who needs to be notified?
That's just it. I don't know. Miss Julie doesn't have any family in town. Someone has to set her affairs in order. Mr. Henderson, maybe? Who else is there? I don't know.
If you give the details to the other detectives, ma'am, they can try and get in contact. Was Miss Randall depressed about something? Upset?
No more than normal.
So she wasn't mad at anyone in particular?
No, men were usually besotted with Miss Julia, not the other way around. I don't think Miss Julia was ever in love with anyone.
Did Miss Randall have many friends visit?
I'm not sure. I only come around twice a week.
Men friends, Mrs. Reynoldson. Spill it.
I will not spread gossip about Miss Julia. She was very nice to me.
I don't care if she was the Virgin Mary sister. Who was she humping? You changed the sheets.
You're disgusting. If you're going to take that tone, I won't answer any more questions.
What was it like working for Miss Randall?
Perfectly fine, officer.
Mrs. Reynoldson, it seems like there's something you want to tell me.
She was very high-strung. Lovely one moment and screaming at you the next. She wanted it all, and she wanted it damn quick. Of course, being so beautiful, it seemed like she was going to get it. Not the way it's turned out, though, is it?
Thanks, Mrs. Reynoldson. You've been very helpful. One of the other detectives will take your statement, and then you can go home.
LAPD, we'd like to see Dr. Stoneman.
Dr. Stoneman is with a patient. Would you like to wait?
No, we wouldn't. Tell him we want to see him now.
There's no need to be rude.
Save it, sister.
Dr. Stoneman, I have some gentlemen from the LAPD here to see you.
Send them in, please. I'll see this patient again after they've left.
Dr. Stoneman, we are investigating the death of one of your patients, Julia Randall.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
Do you mind if we ask you some questions about Ms. Randall?
Not if it doesn't compromise doctor-patient privilege, Detective.
How well did you know Ms. Randall?
Barely at all. She'd only been a patient 6 months or so.
She was disturbed, though.
Well, not in the conventional sense. She had trouble sleeping.
You wrote Julia Randall a prescription for Benzedrine. How can you account for that?
Miss Randall was in the fashion business. She wanted to control her weight.
She didn't appear to have a weight problem.
She had a self-esteem problem. Miss Randall felt her only control over her life was through her appearance.
Do you know where Miss Randall worked?
I have my patient's home address and next of kin. That's as far as it goes.
We are investigating a murder, Doctor. You can either read whatever else is on that card, or I can reach over and take it from you.
There is such a thing as confidentiality, officer.
Not for a dead woman lying on a bathroom floor, there isn't. You want to obstruct me? I'll subpoena your patient records.
Clothing store. 6582 Hollywood Boulevard, Hollywood.
That'll be all for now, Dr. Stoneman. We'll be in touch. See how easy that was.
Well, hello. What can I help you with today?
LAPD, ma'am.
I hope I haven't done anything wrong.
No, ma'am. We're making some inquiries about Julia Randall. Does she work here?
No, I had to let her go. Is she in some sort of trouble?
She was found dead this morning. How long had Julia worked as a model?
Well, she worked in New York before coming here. She was a very beautiful girl.
Could you tell us why you let Miss Randall go?
Husbands sometimes come in here with their wives. When Julia Randall modeled, the husbands were often more interested in her than they were their wives' dresses. The wives weren't happy, and neither was I.
Did she have any close friends here?
Actually, yes. Heather Swanson. Would you like to speak with her?
I'd like that very much. Please don't inform her about Miss Randall's death.
Very well, officer. Heather, these gentlemen are from the LAPD.
I'm Detective Phelps. This is Detective Earl. I understand that you worked with Julia Randall, Miss Swanson?
Yes. Julia helped me get my job here. She's not in any kind of trouble, is she?
She's a hellraiser, isn't she? Lives a fast life.
Oh, no. Maybe Mrs. Stanley would call her that, but I wouldn't. She's full of life, a wonderful company.
That's a lovely engagement ring.
Do you like it? Henry gave it to
I'm
me.
very interested in engagement rings. Do you mind if I take a closer look? That's some pearl, Miss Swanson. Would have cost Henry a fortune. He must really love you. How did you meet Julia?
I was introduced through my fiancé, Henry Arnett.
Henry is your beau. Tell us about it.
Yes, he is. Henry has a fashion business. He and Julia have been friends for years.
Are Miss Randall and Mr. Henderson engaged?
Who's he?
She was wearing a sapphire engagement ring. Someone must have given it to her.
She never mentioned a man named Henderson to me.
That's all for now, Miss Swanson. Could you ask your fiancé to visit Hollywood Police Station? It would be very helpful to our inquiry.
Now, wait a moment. I don't think I'll pass on that message until you tell me why you're asking all these questions.
Julia Randall was found dead this morning.
What? Oh, no. Oh, I can't believe it. She was so full of life.
You're the only person enjoying this, Mal. Get on with it.
The bruising confirms 2 sets of hands, so we have 2 killers. Death was caused by heart failure due to an overdose of morphine.
Have you dragged us down here to gloat? We already heard your theory.
We agree that she was murdered.
Yes, of course.
I have something else to show you.
All right, Mal, what gives?
The dead guy's name is Jimmy LeBlanc, career burglar. He came in this morning. Someone stove his head in with a lump of 2x4.
So what? Good riddance.
I found 2 cigarettes in his jacket pocket.
Wow.
Hang on a minute, Roy. We're listening now.
No sign of morphine use and no metabolized morphine in his blood. Scratch marks on his face.
Which could be from getting his head remodeled.
Time of death, Mal.
Maybe an hour or 2 after the Randall girl.
So you're saying Laughing Boy here could be one of our killers? That's a hell of a long shot.
Thanks, Mal. We'll check it out.
I found something else.
Sorry, I don't play.
I don't know if it's significant. His wallet was empty. The only other things he was carrying were the harmonica and the morphine. Carruthers. Yeah, he's here. I'll send him over. They have a guy called Henry Arnett in interview 2 for you next door. Let me know how you get on.
Sure, Mal. And thanks for the lead.
Sure, Mal. Thanks for the lead.
Mr. Arnett, I'm Detective Phelps. This is Detective Earl. Thanks for coming in.
Call me Henry. It's the least I could do. Terrible news about Julia.
How well did you know Julia Randall?
Vaguely. I'm in the clothing business, and Julia occasionally modeled for me.
And you were close?
We were friends.
Miss Randall's landlady said she was seeing an older man.
Could have been. I wasn't privy to all the details of Julia's private life.
Spill it, Henry. You know nothing about a man named Henderson?
Yes, you're right. Henderson, yeah. Very distinguished.
How about a first name, wise guy? An address, maybe?
I'm sorry, I don't. I think he lives somewhere out of town. Somewhere back east.
Ever heard of a Jimmy LeBlanc?
No. Should I have? Is he an entertainer or something?
So you wouldn't have any reason to believe that LeBlanc would be involved in Julia Randall's murder?
If this guy is a criminal, he might have been involved. But like I said, I've never heard of this LeBlanc character.
Heather told us that you were in fashion.
That's right.
I say we bust in there and find the goddamn evidence.
Some kind of traveling salesman?
Once I got out of the Corps, I used my...
You were in the Marines?
Sure. I'm proud of it. Fighting Sixth.
You were in the 6th Marines?
Yes. I was a captain.
Which company?
Various companies. We had a lot of casualties.
Which engagements?
Okinawa. A couple of other places.
That will be all for now, Henry. You've been very helpful.
That son of a bitch was never in the Marines. Why'd you let him off the hook?
Because we're giving him a couple of minutes before we start tailing him. Arnett is an amateur. We need to find out who killed the girl. Can you pass this on to Bukowski? Have him check the place out and go through his records.
Sure, I'll pass it on.
Thanks. Can you also have R&I run the records on a Jimmy LeBlanc and find out who was his last arresting officer? Have them get in touch via KGPL when they have some information.
He's in that car at the lights.
He was squirming like a worm in there. Don't you love it when they pull the war hero excuse? Actually, maybe you don't.
He needs money and fast. Get in there and find out what he pawned. I'll stick with him, see how he intends to spend the money. Move in. Can't risk losing the trail.
Hoof it, Phelps. I'll bring the car around when I'm done here.
Too much slack. Gotta get closer.
That's right, Mexico City. One-way ticket, please. Next available seat.
That would be 1 day from now. Is that okay?
It's going to have to be.
LAPD, the man who just came in here, he bought a ticket?
Yes, sir. To Mexico City, tomorrow night.
If you hear from him again, don't mention this conversation.
What have you got?
He bought a ticket from Mexico City. Tomorrow night.
That's good. But this is better.
Oh my God. It's Fabergé.
Should have seen the look on the pawnbroker's face when I told him to hand it over. The guy who owned the joint thought it was worth at least 10 large for a cigarette case. Arnett only got 600 clams.
Sir, I need the contraband list. Items stolen over the last year.
Hang on, I'll dig out a copy for you. Here you go.
Thanks.
Is the cigarette case on there?
Julia Randall's ring. It's here. It's here. Arnett must be out of his mind trying to move this while under a murder cloud.
Come on, let's give him a hand.
Right behind you, Wallace. Detective Phelps.
Wallace, go left. I'm going right after this little prick in the alley.
Throw out the guns.
Your move, mister. Come get me.
Keep moving.
Give me some cover.
Thanks. Outstanding warrant, armed robbery. Knocked over a drugstore back there, and it looks like he brought his whole posse with him. Bad luck for them.
They're all yours now. We need some information.
Ever heard of a burglar goes by the name of Jimmy LeBlanc?
Sure. I nabbed Jimmy on a burglary beef a couple of years back. They cut through a music shop and into a jewelry store. He got 4 years. I miss his partner, though.
His partner?
Big guy. I had him cornered, and he picked up this huge display case and threw it out a plate glass window. Then he vaulted out of there like something out of Barnum and Bailey.
Got away.
I would have had him, except for LeBlanc yelling, "Run for it, Willie!"
And you think he was an acrobat of some sort?
More like a strongman, a wrestler, or a boxer, that kind of thing.
Thanks. You've been a big help.
You haven't done too badly yourself.
Nice house.
LAPD, ma'am. Is Mrs. Eavestrom in?
She is. Would you follow me, sir?
I am Mrs. Eavestrom. How may I help you?
We appear to have recovered some stolen goods that belong to you, ma'am.
Yes, of course. That terrible burglary. Would you like something to drink?
No, thank you, ma'am. We have some questions, if you don't mind.
Why would I mind, young man, if you are returning 43 pieces of my property?
Okay, before we get down to that, I'll have a scotch. Thanks, straight up.
Maria, can you get the detective a drink, please?
Can you describe to us what was stolen?
It would be easier to describe what wasn't stolen, Detective. A priceless tiara that has been in the family for 50 years. A Fabergé cigarette case that was worth $25,000.
We recovered a black sapphire ring.
A beautiful piece. It belongs to my daughter.
What can you tell us about the burglary?
That terrible night, at least a year ago. But let's not go into that. Let's talk about what you've recovered.
Were you in the house when the burglary took place?
Good heavens, no. I was at a social function held by a Dr. Harold Stoneman and his lovely wife. I returned home and all of my things were missing.
That's about it for now, Mrs. Eastrom. The department will get in touch and let you know how you can recover your valuables.
You've only mentioned a few of the items that have been stolen, Detective. What else has been recovered?
You see, Phelps? That's why you get the drinks in early.
Hello, Mother. Hello, detectives. What is going on?
We'd like to ask exactly the same question.
You have met my daughter?
This morning at work. Oh, mother and father divorced. I took my father's name.
The detectives recovered some of the things that were stolen, darling.
Well, what did you find?
A sapphire ring on the corpse of Julia Randall.
What are you talking about?
Your engagement ring, Miss Swanson. Would you be surprised to know that it was part of the proceeds of a burglary?
That's an outrageous allegation.
Yes, it is. I suggest we go straight to Henry Arnett's place and sort this mess out.
Stop!
LAPD!
Don't kill him, Cole. This guy's our case.
Go on,
Put your hands in the air! Give it up, LAPD!
Looks like he got you good, Phelps.
Yeah, he really packs a wallop. How did I get back here?
Under your own steam, miraculously. You came in through the window, said hello, and then keeled over.
How was Arnett?
He's coming around, too. He's all hopped up. Good time to get some answers.
You missing something, Henry? We know all about the jewelry ring. You and Randall and LeBlanc and Willie doing the legwork.
I'm in the fashion business.
Miss Swanson might be gullible enough to believe your story, Arnett, but I'm not buying. You're involved in a burglary scam, and so was Julia Randall.
I'm a legitimate businessman. I can't speak for Julia.
Why did Reed and LeBlanc kill Julia Randall?
I wanted to stop, to get out of that life. I was going to marry Heather if she'd have me. Julia told the others that they were out, that she was going to create a new gang.
You wanted Julia Randall out of your life.
Why would he want that? Julia was our friend.
Julia was his hump, sweetheart. They were the Bonnie and Clyde of society burglars. He met you and realized he didn't have to steal anymore. He could just mooch from you. He needed Julia out of the way.
Julia was insatiable. She didn't care about anyone, not the least me. She was never going to go back to the poverty she came from. I wanted it to stop.
Who is Henderson, and what is his involvement?
Tell them what you know, Henry. I'll stand by you if you'll only tell the truth.
There is no Henderson.
Give it up, Arnett. You're facing the gas chamber. Give the judge some reason to commute.
You still don't get it, do you? Julia entrapped everyone. She was so beautiful and so goddamn cold.
Henry Arnett, you are under arrest for burglary and for the murder of Julia Randall.
Henderson is Stoneman, all right? I'm not the guy you want. Go talk to the good doctor.
Oh, we will, knucklehead. Meanwhile, we're fitting you for convict stripes. Hang on a moment, sister. Tell him it's Henry Arnett, and tell him it's urgent.
I can't do that.
Tell him, or I'll charge you with obstruction of justice.
Doctor, I'm afraid Mr. Arnett is here to see you, and he says it's urgent.
Send him in.
I told you never to come.
Tell us the truth, Doctor.
I'm so glad you came. Prison will be better than insanity, and I'm already half insane with grief. Do you know that I loved her? I ruined my life for her, and yet I still love her.
Will you testify in court that Arnett and Randall did these robberies?
They organized the robberies. Julie would get the names of the guests attending my wife's parties. Didn't matter how much money I showered upon her, it was never enough. She never really cared for me.
Doctor, I'm afraid you're under arrest.
The practice. You'll call Dr. Gerard. No. Please don't cry. I want to see no one. Not my wife or my children, nor my friends. And I don't want a lawyer. Just lock me up and throw away the key. What have I done?
Didn't see that coming.
God.
Operator, message for KGPL.
Putting you through now.
I need an ambulance and the coroner immediately to the offices of Dr. Harold Stoneman, 1646 Ivor Street, Hollywood.
En route, Detective. You have a message. Detective Bukowski says the suspect is named Wilson Willie the Wolf Reed, former wrestler. Last known address is an apartment building at the corner of Hollywood and Vine. Detective Bukowski says to meet them there.
On our way. We have an address for you.
He's around here somewhere. A big guy. Neighbors say he always wears basketball shoes and a cream jacket. And get this, the kids around here say he plays the harmonica.
Find the game well and have the commander set up a dragnet. We want the area closed off. We'll take this side of the street.
Wilson Reed, LAPD, give yourself up. Hold it. He's got to be around here somewhere. No place to go unless he grew wings.
There he is. Waste the son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch really picked this spot for it up here, didn't he? Julia Randall's folks are flying in from New York tomorrow to claim the body. I saw her on the slab. So perfect. Looked like she was made of porcelain. She really made an impression on me.
Julia had that impact on a lot of men.
Christ, it's cold. You guys did good work here today. Roy, I think you should buy your brother officers a drink.
Do you now? That's very generous of you, Lieutenant.